Latsho igwijo le Ekhaya Jikelele ngokumbukeli singena kwi-yure yokugqibela yonkqubo kwaye sele sijonge emnyango eneneni asidlali sithunyiwe xa kuthiwe makuphekwe senza njalo de kuphele negoqo oko sithi fa qinisekile nawe apha ekhaya ityiwa iyavakala oko kubonisa cake ukuba siyalifezekisa idinga lethu apha ekhaya Jikelele ngoba asinako ukuza siphinde sihambe ngenefatyi isathe gabu. Makube njalo ke nakule iyure nihlale nathi de siuqwele owanamhlanje uvimba isendimla ke ukholo sakalubisi umadlongothi mazipho mamshukuma ncamagushe kwizihlelo ezingqungileyo nakumamtshali ngithi chamako
makholi mbukeli ke singena kwelokugcina nce ihora kuningi nje sesikwenzile ke lapha ohlelweni Ekhaya Jikelele sixoxe noVusi Khumalo ngokuvakasha kweEFF iyokotha isilo saxoxa ke noza kwethu lapha yakuligwala FM uAndiswa Sifunza sixoxa nje ngezemidlalo. Mbukeli ke kukhona othe ngibuze kulaba abaqala amaculo lapha esontweni ukuthi awusisi likhinya kanjani iculo ngempela ngoba phela sweliqalwe nguwe. Omunye yazi uthini makhona uthi ke ngibuza ukuthi ke uma lokho nisusa impukane eTexini makuhlala impukane kulokho isusa uthi ke phela iswe kuyohlala kubani. Hayi kumnandi faka social media mbukeli nje sasingena ke ehoreni lethu ke lokugcina ake sibheke ehamba phambili.
Nabanye bayakhala bathi hey sihlambeni nabazawungena kufanele ungena ngomsa abanye abantu kuba nexhala abantwana babaza babekaphi kwakwenzekani
kudutyulwe kwasweleka abakhwetha babini nqamakhwe kwiphondo lempuma koloni.
Hey singambiza no tsup. You know what it is ngubixhosa lona hlala ubukele Ekhaya Jikelele from Monday to Friday sikuphathele zemidlalo, entertainment and current affairs. Ungaphoswa.
Usapho labakhwetha ababini abadutyulwe basweleka bekunye nomntaka wabenqamakho empuma koloni lumemelela kwiarhente zonyanzeliso omthetho ukuba zithabatha amanyathelo ngokukhawuleza ngakwezi zigilamkhuba. Omnye wonyana bolusapho utshintshiselana ngeencwina nezigulo esibhedlele nobangela wesisiganeko awukaziwa.
Usapho lwakwaBhusakho belinethemba elikhulu ngonyana balo uAnele noWonke. Olusapho belijonge kusuku apho bazobuya khona bengamadoda kodwa ngoku bajongene namalungiselelo omngcwabo.
Sidandathekile asiyazi neyokuqala neyokugqibela noba masithini bekuthini because sizange siyibone into nje sizange sive into yokugawulwa kwabantwana besesuthwini. Sinethemba ngomsonto basiza kuba namadoda.
Ukanti esisehlo sikwachaphazele nabanye abakhwetha.
Nabanye bayakhala bathi hey sihlambeni nabazawungena kufanele ungena ngomsa abanye abantu kuba nexhala abantwana babaza babekaphi kwakwenzekani kuko.
Inkokheli zomthonyama nazo zithi zothukile sesisehlo.
Simele kasimka apha senze arrangement neparents uba ayonda akhonda sinobathatha abantu sibase kuyona at least ebhetele ke kunalemeko kuyiyo.
Ngokwesebe lezempilo ephondweni ngabakhwetha abayi8 abathe babhubha susela liqalile ixesha lolwaluko lasehlotyeni. Abongile Yankees kwiindaba zeSABC enqamakhwe.
Umnyango wezempilo KwaZulu-Natal umise zonke izinhlelo zokuxhumana ngqo nomphakathi isikhathi esiyinyanga yonke endwedwe enyakatho yeTheku. Lokho kulandela ukuphangwa kubulawa umhlengikazi womuntu wesilisa kuleya ndawo. Lesa kusona isigameko sokuqala kwazise igilamkhuba zihlasela nezimoto ezithwala iziguli.
Ziyanda izigameko zokudunwa nokwebiwa kwezimoto zikahulumeni KwaZulu-Natal. Izindawo ezisenyakatho yeTheku okubalwa uMashu, iNanda kanjalo neNdwedwe zihlonzwe njengezindawo ezishisa izikhotha. Izinyunyana zabasebenzi bezempilo zisesekufika ekugcineni emva kwalesigameko sakamuva sokudunwa kwemoto ezidlule nomphefumulo womhlengikazi wesilisa. Eminyakeni emibili edlule amadoda ayisishiyagalombili abehlomile angena emahhovisi omnyango wezolimo eNdwedwe abamba onogada ahamba nezimoto zikahulumeni. Ukholakala ukuthi lezi zigebengu ziyingxenye yeqembu eliduna izimoto zikahulumeni. umnyango wezempilo uthi ubheka izindlela zokuqinisa ukuphepha kwabasebenzi.
Kusho ukuthi uma sazama ukuthola indlela ne-solution kuzofuna siwasuspende ama-outreach programs e-department onke at least for the next month while sikwazi ukuplana kahle.
Izinyunyana zithi ukudunwa kwezimoto zikahulumeni ikakhulukazi endwedwe yinto endala edinga ukufakelwa izibuko.
Abasebenzi baba ne-trauma bengalitholi uxhaso kuhulumeni.
Amaphoyisa aphenya icala lokubulala, elokuzama ukubulala nelokuduna izimoto. Ngingunonhlakani Magwaza ezindabeni ze-SABC eThekwini.
I-ANC ithi owayesakuba ngumongameli weli uNelson Mandela ngasekhoyo uyakuhlala ekhunjulwa ngokuzinikela kwakhe ngokusebenzela abantu ngentobeko nenhlonipho. Phezolo ke bekuphawulwa 10 leminyaka okowasweleka umongameli wokuqala weli lizwe owanyulwa ngokwentando yesininzi. Madiba ubhubhe ngonyaka ka-2013 eneminyaka engama-95 ubudala emva kokugula ixesha elide.
uMadiba oyingqalabuthu yomzabalazo obonakala futhi njengomholi omkhulu kunabo bonke emhlabeni owayihola uphiko lwezomkhonto wesizwe kwe-ANC aphinde futhi abe umongameli wokuqala eNingizimu Afrika onsundu. Kodwa ke iqembu lakhe lezepolitiki inhlangano ebusayo ukhongolose uthi namhlanje usuku lokubungaza ngaye uMadiba kubheke negxathu eNingizimu Afrika esilithathile.
Marking the 10 years of his passing is something that really is should be introspective for many people who are Democrats, who are patriots.
Iqembu lakhe ke uMadiba libhekene nengqinamba manje. Ukhetho langonyaka ozayo selifaniswa nokhetho lango-1994 lapho uMadiba adla khona ngamalengiso engena njengomongameli waseNingizimu Afrika. Ngonyaka ozayo ke abaningi sebeqagulile ukuthi inhlangano ebusayo iANC angeke kuhambe kahle okhethweni.
I don't think that we should try and even compare the period of Nelson Mandela to the period of Ramaphosa in 2023 or 2024.
Umzukulu walengqalabuthu yomzabalazo uNkosi uMandela uthi umkhulu wakhe kumele akhunjulwe kuzwelonke kakhulukazi nasemhlabeni ngokuthi wadlala igxathu elikhulu enkululekweni yabantu basePalestine nalapho iNingizimu Afrika kumele iqhubeke naloyo mzabalazo.
We felt on this day of his passing, we want to come and lay 3 wreaths at the feet of his statue. As you know, here in the Union Building lies the tallest statue of Madiba in the world.
Umhlaba wonke ke Jikelele ubungaza yona leminyaka e10 solwekelo engumongameli waseNingizimu Afrika ashiya emhlabeni. Ngingusamkele Maseko ngibekele izindaba ze-SABC eGoli.
Inhloko yamajaji uRaymond Zondo iyayichitha izinsolo ezithi inkantolo namajaji kuleli kubanjwe ngobhongwane futhi akekho salethe ngaphambili ubufakazi obukhomba lokho. Ijaji uZondo belethula inkulumo engqungqutheleni yamajaji eyinsuku ezintathu eSun City eNorth West. Isiqubulo sale ngqungquthela sithi towards a single effective and fully independent judiciary.
Inhloko yeqendelo zomthetho kweli uJudge Raymond Mlungisi Zondo ithi sekuyiminyaka emine isenza isimbonono sokuba abanobungqina bokubanjwa kwabezomthetho ngoqhoqhoqo mabeze ngaphambili nobungqina kodwa namhloku akekho seze nobubungqina ngaphambili.
For 4 years I called for everybody who had evidence that the judiciary in South Africa is captured, and nobody came with any evidence.
uJudge Zondo uthi abenze ezitsholo ngabafuna bezomthetho kweli bajonge ngeliso lesikrokho.
The accusation is made by those who wish to ensure that the judiciary of South Africa is not trusted by the public.
Kuchanje abezomthetho bajongene nezitsholo eziliqela kuquka nengxelo kwakusithiwa iqulunqwe ngabezobunhlola baze abeagente ezobunhlola bema enhla besithi lo ngxelo ayiqulunqwanga babo. Elinye ixhoba lezo zitsholo kumongameli wejaji eGauteng uJudge Dustin Mlambo.
The author of the report applied for a job at Legal Aid South Africa many years ago, more than 10 years ago, when I was chairperson of Legal Aid South Africa. He didn't get the job. I was not involved in that process in whatever manner, but from that day onwards to date, he continues to accuse me. He's even created a website that hurls insults at me and any other judge who finds against him.
Thank you.
Le nkomfa yejaji iza kuqhuba de kube ngolwesine.
Masiphinde kwakhona mbukeli siniphe uqikelelo lwemozulu. Nazi kaloku into yokubana kulo ngingqi ukuyo kuqhubeka ntoni nalu.
Wasesigabeni seyimfunda makhwela ekuruleni yanethemba lokuthi izipho ikaKhisimusi zizosheshe ifike kulonyaka. Lamaqembu sekuphela inyanga cishe eziyisithupha zingakhokheliwe emva kokubamba iqhaza emqhudelwaneni iCity of Ekuruleni Youth Football Tournament. Umdlalo wamanqamu umbukelo lomqhudelwano wadlalwa mhla ziyi-16 kuNhlangulana enkundleni yaseTsakane nonyaka. Ngeshwa ke Nkosi yami kuze kube namhlanje amaqembu lutho ukuthi akhokhelwe.
We played a tournament that was hosted by City of Ekuruleni, partnership with Safa Ekuruleni Regional League. And then we went, and then they just promised us to wait, we'll get our money. And then after that, after 2 weeks, they just give us a letter that says the process of paying it will delay. They said that we must just wait a week, we'll receive our money.
Very, very frustrating. The players are calling every now and then. We are even scared now that we might not play the next tournament. There are no funds, there's no trust anymore from the players. You know, people will come and rip you apart because of this situation. They are being pushed now because of this situation.
Siphinde sikwamukele mbukeli lapha ekhaya Jikelele. Njengoba wazi ke ukuthi ke mbukeli manje sekuyisikhathi samaholide asehlobo, imbukiso ke ithe chithisaka izwe lonke. Angithi phela iningi labantu lizovala emsebenzini ebese ke lihlaba ikhefu, liphumuza ingqondo phela livakashele ke emabhishi nakwezinye ke indawo zokungcebeleka. Kulama holiday ke kuhlelwe iMandeni Dokodweni Beach Festival lapha ya KwaZulu Natal. Kanti ke njengamanje sixoxa nemeya yakhona uThabani Mdlalose. Sikubingelele emhlonishwa sikwamukele la ekhaya Jikelele. Sibonga kakhulu ngesikhathi sakho namhlanje kuseni.
Ngibonga kakhulu umsakazi, ngiyabingelela kuwena, ngibingelele nakubalaleli bonke emakhaya.
Besacela nje uqale usichazele emhlonishwa ukuthi yini iMandeni Dokodweni Beach Festival, umbukeli nje ongakaze ezwe ngayo.
iMandeni Beach Festival, ifestival esizoba nayo mhla ka-27 kuya mhla ka-28 December. Ezobe isebeach la esibizwa ukuthi iseDokodweni Beach. La sobe sihlanganise khona ama-artists amaningi azobezo jabulisa umphakathi wakithi eMandeni namaphethelo kulo lonke izwe liphela. Kanti ke futhi ke le festival inhloso yayo ukuthi sikwazi ukubuyisana ubunye nobumbano kumphakathi yakithi nokuhlanganisa nemindeni, sikwazi ukuthi sihlale ngokuthula, sikwazi ukuthi sijabule futhi ngokukhululeka ezweni lakithi. So ezinye ke zezinto ze-beach Dogodweni Beach Festival izama ukuheha abavakashi ngoba enye ye-event ekhona enkulu la KwaZulu Natal ezobe iveza futhi indawo zokuvakasha ekhona lapha eMandeni ngoba leli beach lethu liphephile, sinalo status sokuba ne-blue flag kule beach. So kuzoba ke namanye kama workshops asobe sikhona ekuthuthukiseni ama-artist akhona endaweni namaphethelo ukuze nawo afike kwizinga lalabo DJ esobe sinabo ngomhla ka-27 mhla ka-28. So sizama-ke lapha ukubuyisa-ke isimo sokuhlala nenjabulo ukwazi ukuthi umphakathi wethu ihlale ngokuzwana sine-program yethu social cohesion. So inhloso yethu-ke yileyo esiyenzayo nokuthi kujabule bonke abantu bakwaZulu Natal ukuthi sibamukele babe khona lapha eMandeni kwi-Dogodweni Beach Festival.
Yebo Mhlonishwa, njengoba usho-ke nawe ukuthi-ke enye futhi yey'ndlela zokuheha-ke abavakashi-ke ukuthi-ke beze kulo mcimbi. Ingabe-ke umcimbi lo singawubona wenzeka-ke minyaka yonke?
Lo mcimbi uba khona minyaka yonke yize besiuqale kule minyaka edlule. Njengamanje siyohlala ikhona iDogodweni Beach Festival ezikwazi abantu bakithi lonke izwe liphela eMzansi ukuthi uma befuna ukuzophola KwaZulu Natal sibazi ukuthi sinama-beach aphephile nolwandle lethu liphephile, bazi ukuthi bezoncebeleka. Kuzobe nezinto eziningi zokudlala, ama-skate competition, ezokudoba, ama-volleyball nezinto ezifuzelezo. So uma uswazi nje ukuthi kushaya ikhathi kaDisemba ufuna ukuphumula uza KwaZulu Natal, wazi ukuthi eMandeni wamukelekile. Sinale nhloso noma sinalolu hlobo le-festival ebakhona ethokozisa abantu. So izoba khona minyaka yonke ukusukela manje kuya phambili.
Yikuphi-ke okungalindelwa abantu abasey'ndaweni ey'gaqeleke noma ey'qaqela eMandeni, iDogodweni kanye nesifundazwe nje-ke iKwaZulu Natal? Ingabe mhlawumpe abantu bakwazi ukuthi beze kube yimindeni, iy'ngane zivumelekile?
Yebo msakaza, iy'ngane zivumelekile, imindeni ivumelekile, ezokuphepha zisezingeni eliphezulu, sihlangane kakhulu namaphoyisa ne-security. So ukuphepha nje kusezingeni eliphezulu. So iy'ngane ivumelekile nabakhubazekile bavumelekile, khona indlela yokuthi bangene ngendlela ethize efanele. So wonke umuntu wamukelekile. So siyafisa ukuthi wonke umuntu waKwaZulu Natal noma osuka kuphezulu nje liphela eNingizimu Afrika umethu uza KwaZulu Natal azi ukuthi ufuna ukuzophola, azi ukuthi ngomhla ka-27 kuya mhla ka-28 azi ukuthi uzoba amabomba ebheke ngaseBhishi. Lapha-ke nabanye osomabhizinisi abancane nomama abadayisa ematafuleni bazobe benakho ukucosha ukhona ukuthi badayise, bakhona ukuthi baphakamise umnotho wakithi KwaZulu Natal nomnotho wakithi lapha kwi-district yeTilembe nomasipala wakithi eMandeni. So kuzobe khona-ke inhlawulo eziningi nabanye abazobe bezokhangisa ngezamabhizinisi abo bazobe bekhona la bezomakhetha. So sizama ukubeka ukuthi nanoma yimuphi umuntu ofisa nje ukujabula nokuzophumula ukhona la. Kanjalo maye befuna indawo futhi zezokulala befisa ukuthi balale zikhona ehlinzekiwe ukuthi-ke baxhumane-ke naloma office babhuke ukuthi bakwazi ukuthi balale. Kodwa nje isimo sokuphepha, isimo sezokujabula, isimo zokuncebeleka kuzobe kuvuleleke kuwonke umuntu lapha eDogodweni Beach Festival.
Hayi, ngiyabona Mhlonishwa laphana kunemfanekiso nje-ke elokhu-ke udirector wethu elokhu eyidlala njengoba siba nengxoxo yethu. Ngiyabona laphana ukuthi yeyi kumnandi kwangampela, abantu bajabule. Ngiyabona khona nabaphekayo ngathi oshefu. Manje bese ngizobuza ukuthi-ke manje ithini-ke mhlawumpe indlela, yiphi indlela uma ngabe nami ngifuna ukuzokhangisa ngizobonisa ngomsebenzi wami, kukhona mhlawumpe imicikilisho ekhona kufanele ngilandele imigudu noma nje ngiqhamuka ngosuku lolo ngibeke mhlawumpe itafulana lami bese ngeneka lokho engizokukhombisa ngakho?
Yebo, noma ngeke kube imicikilisho eminingi. Siyasiceleke kubantu abafisayo ukuthi bezoparticipate lapha, noma ngabe uyadayisa noma ngabe ufuna ukubeka istand sakho, ufuna ukwenza ukuthize, uxhumane ne-office lethu lalapha kwamasipala aseMandeni lawa economic development ukuze bezokwazi ukukunika i-permit ukuze nokudla okudayisayo sikwazi ukuthi sesicheckile sakuthola ukuthi kusesimweni esikahle singadayisi izinto ezingekho esimweni ingakho ke sithi ke abadlule lapha eofisini babhalise mase bebhalisile bayayithola ipermit yokuthi bakwazi bathola istand yilokho akudayisayo azobe kudayisa yilowo suke efuna ukumaketha akwazi ukuthi ubeka kuphi istand istand sakhe noma iflag lakhe akumakethayo akwazi ukuthi athole ispot azobeka kusona ngoba msakazi uma kuwukuthi sizolinda usuku lomcimbi sizoba nengxaki yokungakwazi ukuthi sicontrole isimo sebebaningi abantu uthola ukuthi bese bangazuthi abantu bakithi bayaphoxeka siyafisa ukuthi lokho bakusungumele kusasemanje ukuthi bakwazi ukuthi babhalise ukuthi mina ngifuna ukuzodayisa ngidayisa ukuthi mina ngifuna ukuzokhangisa ibhizinisi lami ngikhangisa ibhizinisi lami ngizobeka lapha isport ngoba imap yonke idesign ezobe ikhona lapha kule beach Dogodweni Beach Festival seyenzekile sekuyazi ukuthi ama sports azobe ekuphi so siyafisa umphakathi wakithi ukuthi kube wona ufika kuqala ukwazi ubhalise ukwazi ukuthi uthole lezo zimo enjenganalezo ukuze sikwazi ukuthi umsebenzi wethu ukuthi kufika lelo suku umuntu nje usekhululekile usiyafika usiyajabula nomndeni wakhe nezingane zakhe.
Ingabe thini ke mhlonishwa mhlambe imininingwane noma umuntu nje ofisayo ukuthi ahambe mhlambe khona lapho angangena khona ukubona ukuthi ke mhlawumbe imapha amaciko azobe khona ezonandisa kanye nemininingwane ukuthi kungenwa mahala noma kuthengwa amathikithi imininingwane efana njengaleyo?
Yes, amathikiti ayakhona ayadayisa kanjalo futhi akhona azobetholakala khona futhi esangweni siyafisa ukuthi kodwa kube kuhle ukuthi abantu bawathenge kusase amathikiti ukuze kuvimbekeleke kugwemeke isimo sokuthi kube busy lapha esangweni siyafisa ukuthi bangene la kuma website ethu kasemandeni eMandeni municipality website bangena ku Facebook page yethu bakwazi ukuthi ba connect kubona bakwazi ukuthi babone ukuthi bangena kanjani yiziphi ezinye izinto nama artist azobe ekhona bazona ukubona ukuwabona siyabala nje ama artist azobe ekhona laphana kuzobe khona okhuzani ogatsheni bazobe bekhona ithikithi le VIP njengamanje kusho ukuthi ithikithi elikhulu kakhulu liyadayisa lu 400 rand kanjalo li general bo 150 siyafisa ukuthi bakwazi ukuthi bathenge lokho ngokukhulu ukusheshsha angaze aphela amathikithi ukuze ukuthi makufika usuku umuntu engabe sabenenkinga yokuthi aphoxeke.
Yebo mhlonishwa sasiphetha nje ke mhlawumbe yini into enizoyenza uqinisekisa mhlawumbe ezokuphepha ngoba phela kuyazi ukuthi hey bakhona ogalakajana abathatha nje ama chance mangabeke kuyimicimbi enjengalena abafuna ukuzoqola abantu.
La eMandeni sinohlelo lwethu sine department edila ne-security kanjalo siba ne meeting yethu esibizwa ukuthi section 4 hlanganisa amaphoyisa SABC nalo lonke uhlobo lwephoyisa olukhona eMningizimu Afrika ukuthi likwazi ukuthi lo mcimbi nje basuhlelo ube nokuphepha ukufika kwabantu ukuhamba kwabantu ukuphatheka kwabantu during umcimbi nezindawo ezakhele zona lezi indawo yaseDogodweni Beach eindawo zokulala indawo zokuhlala lapho bezobe behleli khona ivakashi zethu siqinisekisile futhi indawo zokuphepha so emgwaqeni siqinisekisile indaba zokuphepha ngezinga eliphezulu kakhulu so sine private security ezobe khona kuba amaphoyisa azobe ekhona khona nje emcimbini azobe visible ekhona nakhona futhi egatini kuzobe kuqinisekisiwe siyabacela ke igebengu noma mhlambe lezo nzolabo ecabanga ukuthi singase ithatha ama chance sithi kubona uzobe ngafakwa libuya nodaka amaphoyisa azobe ngomumo kanjalo nasemgwaqeni abezayo beze bahambe kahle ezokuphepha amaphoyisa ethu omgwaqo azobe sesimweni even imoto abavakashi bethu beze lapha zizobe egadwe ngezingoso lokhosi ngiyafisa futhi ukuqinisekisa umphakathi wakithi ukuthi le event njengoba sike saba nayo eminyakeni edlule akukho la sike sa recorda khona noma kwabikwa isimo sokuthi kwaba khona ukuphazamiseka ngoba zonke inhlanga zomphakathi zikhona sinama volunteer umphakathi wala eMandeni uzobe ngomumo ukumukela ivakashi nokuqinisekisa ukuthi ivakashi zethu ziphephile nokuthi ke futhi ke nezivakashi mayifika zingafiki ibone iDogodweni Beach Festival kuphela zikhona ezinye indawo zezokuvakasha including Harold Johnson okuneyindawo ezinhle lapha zokuvakasha lapho uzobona khona nezilwane sine nature reserve khona la neyindawo la kwakhona imlando kakhulu kaZulu ikakhulukazi nje uqala kwempi yasesandlwana lapha esihlahleni somnqamlajuqu kwi-ultimatum tree kuneyindawo enjalo impi yasendonda kusuka sina Harold Johnson la uthola khona ukuthi sineyindawo eziningi othola ukuthi ezokuvakasha, othola ukuthi kuney'phaphalazi laphana ama-butterfly more than 2,000 ahlukene kuze kufika abavakashi abasuka emazweni angaphesheya ezocoshela lolu hlobo lwe-butterfly esinayo thina lapha eMandeni. Kanjalo nama-trade esinawo, abantu abafuna ukwenza hiking izobe ikhona la. Ziningi nje inhlelo ey'khona. Ngiyafisa ukuthi emaphejini ethu aseMandeni zizobe ivela ezinye iy'ndawo zezokuvakasha esinazo ngaphansi kwaMandeni Municipality nangaphansi kwe-district yethu iLembe, othola ukuthi abavakashi bethu bengakhona ukuthi bayivakashele ngalesi sikhathi samaholide, ukuthi baya kwi-festival sebeyibonile noma sebeqeda i-festival bekwazi ukuthi bayibona. Futhi-ke lapha-ke sinofisho omnandi kabi njengoba kuzobe kukhompyuthwa kudlalwa nendaba zokudoba kanjalo bazobe bekwenza lokho okungenye yey'ngxenye zethu zokuvakasha.
Sibonga kakhulu-ke Mhlonishwa ngesikhathi sakho namhlanje. Sengathi-ke nje cha umcimbi lo ungahamba kahle ungabi nayihibe uphinde futhi uqhubeke nje iminyaka yonke.
Sibonga kakhulu umsakazi nabalaleli bakho bonke emakhaya. Simema yonke iNingizimu Afrika ukuthi ayize la eMandeni ngomhla ka-27, 28. Ayikho enye biggest event ozobe ikhona la ngaphandle kwaleya la eDokodweni. So simema bonke beze bezongcebeleka ngokujabula nemindeni yabo. Siyabonga.
Sibonge kakhulu. Umbukeli-ke lowo imeya yaseMandeni lapha eDokodweni uMhlonishwa uThabani Mdlalose. Besixoxisana naye-ke mayelana nefestival iMandeni iDokodweni Beach Festival okuthiwa izoba ngeyi-27 kanjalo-ke neyi-28. Njengamanje ngembukela sinje qu ey'tolo sizobuya emva komzuzwana. Siphinde sikwamukele-ke mbukeli wekhaya jikelele. Kanti-ke mangabe siqhubekela phambili ngezindaba zethu, i-Democratic Alliance KwaZulu-Natal ishaqekile ngemva kokubulawa kwekhansela layo uNhlalayenza Ndlovu. uNdlovu ubeyikhansela kumasipala umngeni KwaZulu-Natal. Kanti-ke ukuthola kabanzi ngalokhu sixoxa nosotswebhu omkhulu we-DI KwaZulu-Natal uFrancois Rogers. Inkulumo-ke mbukeli izoba ngesiNgisi ngoba phela uRogers akalwazi lolu limi-ke esisakaza ngalo. Mr. Rogers, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Nicolo, and good morning to your listeners.
Sad news indeed that we wake up to this morning. What is your comments on the murder of Mr. Ndlovu?
Well, obviously, we're in shock. We're in a state of shock. I mean, it was terrible news. This happened at 7:30 last night. Two armed gunmen arrived at Salayenza's home and kicked down the door, chased him into the bedroom and shot him. There were 10 shots fired. His wife, his 5-year-old daughter, the baby and the nanny were all at home at the same time. So it's devastating news to the DA, and our heartfelt condolences go out to the Ndlovu family.
Mr. Rogers, do you know what happened? Do you guys have an idea of the suspects, and perhaps do you know the reason behind this murder?
Well, look, what I can tell you is the information is sketchy at this stage, but nobody breaks into a home and shoots somebody, 10 rounds, and it's a robbery. Nothing was removed from the house. So at this stage, we've got to be very sensitive to what the cause was, but it does appear as though there's been some unhappiness about illegal electricity disconnections in some of the homes around the Ngonyama Trust land.
So do you think also, judging from what you're saying, do you think then that this is not related to politics?
Look, I don't want to speculate, not all at this stage. I think it would be insensitive of me. But if one just looks at what's transpired, and the way that the killing was done, it was a hit, and I think now the South African Police Services must stand up and do its job, ensure the matter is investigated, and those who are responsible are brought to book.
Mr. Rogers, can you still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry,
oh, okay. We had a bit of a break there. You can continue, sir.
No, I was saying, look, I don't want to speculate about the motive. I think it would be insensitive. I think SAPS now have a job to do, and for once and for all, they must actually ensure that those perpetrators are arrested, and we establish exactly what the motive and the cause behind this was.
So, Mr. Rogers, can you just perhaps tell us how Ndlovu was? We hear that he was quite a very humble servant. You indeed lost a hero.
Indeed, he was a very humble servant of the people. You know, I don't recall ever having heard him say a word in anger. He was on the ground all the time, working with the people and ensuring that service delivery takes place. He was a family man. So, you know, it's a tragedy when somebody is killed brutally. A father, you know, a husband is killed in this manner. It's a tragedy indeed.
I understand, Mr. Rogers, that the Democratic Alliance was planning to visit the King, Mrs. Zulukazwelithini. Maybe with regards to this shooting now, does that change the DA's plan? Or maybe you guys are still going to forge ahead and go see the King? Or maybe perhaps postpone?
Look, I'm on my way to see His Majesty the King now. One of the issues that I wanted to discuss with His Majesty was the killing of traditional leaders and the killing of public representatives. So, you know, I think even though we're in mourning, I think this is a good opportunity for us to have this discussion and to look for solutions and a way forward.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rogers, for joining us this morning, and condolences indeed. And we wish the family can get some closure and some healing. Before I just let you go, I just want to ask this last question: is this a way of scaring you, Mr. Rogers, as the DA, maybe?
No, I don't think so. I think the struggle for democracy must continue. I don't think it must deter us in any way. And good will always triumph evil. So we need to continue that struggle.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time. Wishing you a good day ahead.
Diyabulela noxolo.
Lawo ke mbukele besixoxisana naye ke uMr Rogers, besixoxisana naye uFrancois Rogers laphayana okhulumela ke iDA osotwebhe omkhulu weDA laphayana kwaZulu Natal. Sikhuluma naye mayelana nokudutshulwa kukaNhlala yenza Ndlovu odutshulwe eyikhansela leDA laphayana. Sidlulise nje ke amazwi enduduzo emndenini wakhe okwamanje mbukele siqu 8 losobuye emva komzuzwana.
Sibambe ngazibini imbukeli we-Ekhaya Jikelele ngokuba usahleli nathi kanti ke ubusandulungena ufika sesichwechwelanga semnyango kanti ngokumbukeli singena kuphononongo lwencwadi. uThembi Ntahani kaMahlangu ngumbhali oyinzalelwane yapha eMpumalanga. Noveli yakhe ke yokuqala ethi He Saw the Storm yapapashwa ngonyaka ka-2020. Ibhensisa ke umtshato wabantwana kunye nodlwengulo eMzantsi Afrika ngeminyaka yo-1960. uThembi ke ukholelwa ukuba inkcubeko yama-Afrika ityebile kwaye intle kodwa akufunekanga icinezele abanye abantu. Sawunxibelana naye ke phaa kwiqonga likaZoom ukuze ke asinabisele banzi ngale ncwadi. Thembi, masikubulise sikwamkele enkqubeni Ekhaya Jikelele. Unjani namhlanje?
Ngiyaphila Kolasa, kanjani?
Ndiyaphila nami enkosi. Thembi, ngaphambi kokuba ke singene nzulu koludliwano ndlebe, ndingathanda nje usithele thuphe ngawe ungubani?
uThembi Ntahani kaMahlangu is Mpumalanga born and bred also. When I'm not writing, I'm a physical science teacher, so that's briefly about me.
Khawusinabisele ngomxholo wale ncwadi othi He Saw the Storm. Ingaba mhlawumbe intoni ethe yakuphembelela into yokubana uthathe usiba nephepha uthi ubhala le ncwadi?
That is a very interesting question. So a couple of years back, I was having a conversation with my grandmother. So ngiyambuza ugogo ngithi mina, if ngiba nomntwana outside of umshado, uma sengishada, what is the reason that I have to leave my baby now when coming emshadweni? Ugogo wami in the beginning used to duck and dive the question, angaphenduli right on the spot. So this one time we were arguing about an episode with Kim Sam, and then they said to me, let me just explain to you the reason why culture came to the decision to say that umntwana wangaphandle bathi umlanjwana ngesizulu, umntwana wangaphandle usala ekhaya uma umama wakhe ayogana. Okay, ngahlala phansi nami ngamamela. Then wangichazela ukuthi in the past it would happen, especially into kubantwana bamantombazana, it would happen ukuthi if umama or the wife is unable to bear children for the husband, then the husband would take Lumtwana as a second wife. So I was interested by that. I was like, I never thought of it like that in the beginning. I thought of it as mhlambi umntwana ongaphandle would bring problems into the marriage, only to find that this thing is actually bigger than me. And a lot of people are not aware of that, because when I get arguments on social media, people would say, if umuntu angithanda should love me nomntwana wami, not knowing what is this, what was the reason behind the decision to say that umntwana ongaphandle should asale ekhaya with abogogo nabo malungu. So I decided to actually tell a story to say that, okay, this thing is bigger than us. Yes, we may argue to say that if a person loves me and wants to marry me, they should also love my children. But this thing is bigger than us. It's bigger than we even imagine. It's bigger than we even think. So that is what motivated me to actually sit down and write this book, to actually say, this is the story.
Wow, inikisa umdla kakhulu into bana mhlambe yonke lento yaqala unengxoxo nomakhulu wakho ngoku sele incwadi. Kwaye wena Thembi kuyaphawuleka into kubana incwadi yakho ethi He Saw the Storm ichukumisa umba wodlwengulo nomtshato wabantwana beMzantsi Afrika. Ingaba yintoni ekwenze ukuba ubhale ngezi ziganeko zimbini?
That's a very interesting question. It's actually a theme on its own that I actually wanted to reflect upon in the book, because rather, not that it's still happening, I'm not sure, but in the past to say that abantwana, when they go emlanjeni, there would be amadoda waiting for them there, and then bayabatwala, and then they would go, that man would go introduce himself ngenkomo eyodwa, so that my parents can know, okay, but so I wanted to bring that forward to say that this is actually abuse that was hidden behind a culture. To say that in the book, unomtiwelanga comes into the marriage nomawake unomsebelo, and it happens that when she starts to reach the teenage years, ubaba wake, or rather the stepfather, starts to realize Umdana is becoming attractive, obviously because she's growing up, she's starting to develop here and there. So ubaba lo is starting to develop an interest in this child. So Umdana Lona is finding herself in a position whereby now she is having sexual intercourse with the stepfather's like in there behind her mother's back. So Umamake doesn't know that is happening to her, and she is unable to actually say that to Umamake because Umamake is sick and is unable to bear children to this man.
Hey Imbi, i-network yakho Thembi. Kuyabonakala nje mbukeli ingathi network kaThembi imbi kakhulu, kodwa ke sizawuzama into bangaba siyilungise, kodwa ke besikwiziqendu sophononongo lwencwadi apho besiphonononga ke incwadi athe wabe kanti uyayibhala ethi He Saw the Storm. Uyatsho ke mbukeli into kubana konke oku nje kwaqala ngengxoxo nomakhulu wakhe, kwaye ke phakathi kwezinto ababandakanyeka zona yimiba eyenzeka kudala equka umtshato, ukuthwala. Ebesixelela ke mbukeli ngendlela kanti ethe yabe kanti iphembelela lencwadi yakhe. Thembi usekhona emnxebeni?
Ngiyakuzwa sisami sisekhona.
Ewe, ingaba le miba ubuthetha ngayo indlela mhlambe ejongwa ngayo kule mihla siphila kuyo, ungathi mhlambe njengombhali iyakwenelisa?
Can you please repeat the question? I didn't get that.
Le miba othetha ngayo ethe yaphembelela into kubana ubhale lencwadi, uyatsho into kubana kudala kwakukho isiko lokuthwala apho kwakuthatha intombazana itshatiswe, neminye imiba othe wabe kanti uyayikhankanya ethe yaku-inspirisha to write this book. It's years later now. I mean, looking at these issues that you addressed, would you say mhlambe you are satisfied with how they are addressed?
Not really. You know what made me even sad? When I started writing the book back in 2017, after the conversation with my grandmother, I didn't personalize the story. It was just a story that I was writing. So after I talked about the book, I started receiving phone calls of people actually testifying to say, I'm in that situation. I have a child who's in that situation. So now it became personal to say that what I thought was a story for me, it's a reality to someone else. So that made me realize that years later, there are people who are still living in that, even though it's no longer practiced now, according to my knowledge. But it happened to people in the past, which they are still living in that situation right now. So I am not satisfied. Abadala, they need to address those issues. An old man cannot marry umntwana omncane. That is just wrong. Umntwana loyo haven't even been a child. Now they are expected to be a wife to somebody, to be a mother to somebody, whereas they are still a child themselves. So having received those phone calls from people, it made me realize that even though it's not happening, but it is still affecting them in the present, because they are still living in that situation right now.
Ngelezange uyibhale ujonge mhlambe into epersonal kodwa ujonge izinto ezenzekayo ezisingqongileyo. Thembi, enkosi kakhulu ngokwabelana nathi ngencwadi yakho. Siyathemba into yokubana izawufikelela kuluntu nabo bafunde ngakumbi ngezinto othe wazibalula. Enkosi kakhulu benosuku lomnandi.
Yabonga, thank you very much for having me.
Lo ke mbukeli ebesithetha naye nguye uThembi Ntahane, umbhali ke wencwadi ethi He Saw the Storm, endisibanisela ke mbanzi ngencwadi yakhe. Siziqala ke siziqongqotha ngolohlobo ezanamhlanje sibambe ngazo zozibini mbukeli weEkhaya Jikelele. Ubunathi kaloku siyiqala ngoku siyayiqongqotha usame kunye nathi. Inkxaso engagungqiyo siyayibonga kwaye sithi ncatsho enkosi.
Ukhumbule ke mbukeli ukuthi nakusasa siyabuya ngesikhathi esifanayo khona la SABC lihayi kanjalo naku SABC Plus. Nibe nosuku oluhle, nisale kahle.